Hey, Tom here, FlipAnything USA. Today I've got Darius with me,
Hey everybody, how y'all doing?
and we're going to watch Patrick Bet David. I've just started watching this guy recently. I saw a video maybe a month or so ago, and then I saw another piece of one the other day. The guy seems to be tremendously successful, but I liked what was coming out of his mouth. When I heard him speaking the other day, he kind of speaks his mind and doesn't mind getting a little controversial. But this title caught my eye. It's The Rules of Mental Toughness. Listen, anybody that's an entrepreneur, a high achiever, you understand you're going to become mentally tough if you're not already. You don't run away from a fight. I generally go straight towards a problem. I'm one that I don't procrastinate. I just go straight at anything. If there's a problem, I address it immediately. And a lot of people aren't built that way. So I'm kind of curious to hear where this video is going to go, and I'll comment on it how I see it through my eyes. What do you know about Patrick?
So, from what I know, I used to be a watcher of his YouTube channel, Valuetainment, back in the day when he had about 50,000 subscribers or so. And I'm currently reading a book on him, a book that he just wrote called like your next 5 moves or something like that. And it's talking about like business strategy and stuff like that. So, but I know he's from Iran, in the insurance business, really focused on building an agency and then has learned a lot about himself in that process. And he helps entrepreneurs and stuff like that. And
Well, he seems to be a pretty good talk show host, if you want to call him that.
he speaks well. He's like, you can tell he really has developed who he has to become to be successful. So this will be interesting. And like you said, knowing your story and your experiences, I'm sure there'll be some parallels with the mental toughness.
Probably.
Like
In general, like I say, I think it's just people that, achieve a lot generally. Look, and I can tell you myself, I tell people, sometimes I feel like a damn octopus with just tentacles everywhere. And there's always somebody freaking chewing on one of them. And it's a problem, you know what I mean? But you just take care of it, and you just get used to it, and that's life. It's just part of it. So anyways, we'll get this rolling, and we'll be right back. We'll get it started. All right. So look, if it's your first time here, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It only takes a second. If you like what you hear, certainly hit that subscribe button. I've been investing in real estate since I was 19 years old, made tens of millions of dollars over my lifetime, and there's just no vehicle like it. I don't know of anything that can make you richer than real estate and as quickly. I have a mentorship, and I've only been doing that 2 years. Got a book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. If you want to know about real estate, or you want to know how to get rich kind of quick, or get wealthy fairly quickly, this is it. This is the blueprint. When I wrote this book, I was just trying to give you the most important, easiest path to get there, and that's what this book has done for many people now. We have a lot of great testimonials. If you go to FlipAnythingUSA.com, you can see a number of people, video testimonies. Some people have made over $2 million now in 2 years. It's pretty cool. Rules of Mental Toughness. Here we go.
There's a lot of things in life we can measure. We can measure what kind of return your mutual fund made. We can measure how tall you are. We can measure what you weigh. We can measure your closing percentage in sale. But how do you measure mental and emotional toughness? We're going to talk about that today. Pain tolerance is one of the biggest factors of someone who can handle pressure, because the whole idea of pressure is there's pain. That pain could be embarrassment. That pain could be, I don't know if I can handle this. That pain could be a lot of different things. Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, the difference between a hero and an average person is that the hero goes 5 minutes longer, meaning the hero can handle the pain 5 minutes longer than the other person. Well, my wife had the baby. She said, when the pain hit me, and I was like, there's no way I can feel. It's like a train. She tells me the story. I don't know what it means. She says, I just had to hang in there for a few minutes longer, and then it was over with. That's pretty much what this means, right?
And, so that's nice. And, kind of the analogy for that, or how I'm relating to it at the moment is people give up too quickly. A little bit of pain, and they run away.
Yeah.
A little bit of pain, and they stop. A little bit of discouragement, and they give up. Remember BW? BW? Yeah. How do you do it? It's in the book. How, though? How? It's like, what do you want me to tell you? It's already in the book. Anyways, you have to have some you got to be tenacious, and you got to be, you just got to push. You got to work. Look, if it was easy, I love this. And I love old sayings and things that have lasted the test of time. And certainly one of them is, is that you? Is basically, there's light at the end of the tunnel, or to simply tough it out is not a bad one either. It's going to get harder before it gets easier. There's just a few things like that. I can't think of the one I was trying to think of a minute ago.
You said it started with it was easier. Is it? If it was easy,
if it was easy, everybody would do it. Yeah, thank you. If it was easy, everybody would do it. And, and believe me, just that just stick-to-itiveness and not giving up. You just never give up. You have to keep plowing through. And if you don't, you're just going to come up short. And listen, you can throw good money after bad. That's a mistake. And that's easy to do when you're a millionaire, to be honest. It's, when you got a lot of extra money, you can throw things at and that you have a passion for. And these are things you probably wouldn't do if you were all about business, and you got to be more careful with that money. And that's something that can happen. You know what I mean? In other words, believe me, I've wasted some money on some things that I thought I could do that I can't do. I know real estate, but sometimes you extrapolate certain experiences and success that you've had at one thing and think you can do anything, and you can't. You can't. You may. But and what's even worse is you got the money to keep trying.
How long does it take you to figure out when it's time to quit?
Some things are obvious. There's some things that you simply cannot overcome, or maybe there's, if it's a product, it's becoming obsolete. It's like, I can see the writing on the wall. It's, you got to just face reality sometimes. And, or somebody creates something before you did. And it's like, wow, it's kind of too late now, and that can happen too. And I can relate to all those things.
Hey, yo, stop and listen. Time is on a mission to eliminate all of the snake oil and the fake gurus that fake y'all. He'll show you how to build an empire, starting with nothing but a desire. All you really need is a good mentor, not a used car bullshit. With time, you'll learn to crush it. Investing like Warren Buffett. With real estate, you cannot procrastinate. Everyone who hesitates is left at the starting gate. Hey, yo, word to your mother. Time ain't like no other. So don't delay and join today. The mentorship and flip anything. USA, go.
Calling someone soft? Oh, he's soft. Oh, she's so soft. What is soft? I'm asking you, what is soft? You've heard that before. Oh, he's soft. He's a soft player.
Soft would mean a pushover to me. Somebody that doesn't have any mental toughness. Somebody that can't say no. Which, by the way, I'm going to tell you right now. One of the most powerful things you can do is say no. My kids all know the answer is no before the answer is yes. Okay? It's always no. Okay?
Hey, Dan, can I get you some food?
No. Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Are you hungry, Dad? No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, wait a minute. I think you're going to ask me for a favor or for something, some money. Like Patrick did. Yeah, no. The fact is, this is just a tip for anybody. A lot of people are easily manipulated. And if you don't say no, you say no first, it shuts it down. You don't want to do what somebody's asking. Say, hey, can we do this? No. You say no first. And this is about mental toughness too, believe me, but it's also just smart. You say no because now it's done. It's no. Now you can apologize for why it's no. In other words, if you go, then they can already start to figure out, and then they start to, they start to manipulate the conversation because you haven't quite said no. They can see you're leaning towards no, but you can manipulate them out of saying no when they're, I was gonna, you know what I mean? They start talking about, they're laying down the road to say no. You say no first, and then you can say, I'm sorry, but no. Or you say no, you say no first, say no. Then you say, I'm sorry because I would have liked to help you. I would have liked to done that, but I can't. It's no,
Yeah.
And it'll save you a lot of time and money and grief. Learn to say no first thing. If you don't want to do something, say no, and then you can think about it and you can always change your mind. Let's keep watching.
He's soft in business. He's soft. I was interviewing Kobe, the late Kobe Bryant, when he brought up Shaq in the whole video, when he said, if Shaq would have practiced as hard as we would have won 12 championships. It was all over the news everywhere. People were happy, not happy, all this stuff. Shaq was not happy about it. I'm blocked by Shaq till today, by the way, because of that. What a dumb question to ask. He DM'd me and says, what a dumb question to ask about if I had his work ethic, right? But the biggest compliment Kobe gave Shaq? Here's the biggest compliment Kobe gave Shaq. Kobe said, Shaq was big and mean. He says Shaq wasn't one of these big guys that was soft. He was big and mean. He says most big guys, people don't push him around, but Shaq was big, mean, and was willing to throw his weight around. He wasn't soft. He was tough, right? Big difference. How do you define soft? Soft is someone that doesn't have a backbone. Soft is someone when they're cornered and push comes to shove, they quit. Soft is someone that claims their values, but then when it comes down to tough things happen in their lives, they compromise their values. Soft is somebody that declares their intentions. Here's what I'm going to do, world. But then when it gets tough, they say, no, I'm going to quit and take the easy way out. That's how you define soft. Call anybody anything but soft. Do you understand how bad of a thing it is to be called soft? But a lot of people are soft.
I say it all the time. The masses are the asses, and those people are soft. Yeah. No wherewithal. I mean, no, just... and they don't want it, to be honest. You got to want it. Yeah. And in fairness, and he's talking about defining toughness. The difference is people that are mentally tough, they throw themselves constantly into positions that require toughness. You stick your neck out there, whatever. You do things to other people. You say, look at me, I'm talking. What I have is a value. I'm saying it right now. I'm doing it right now. A lot of people won't throw that in there because they're afraid of criticism and that sort of thing. But of course, confidence comes from the success or whatever you build upon in that regard too. But the one thing, and too many people, if they would just step up, they don't realize that they do have a lot of value and they can add a lot. But they, for whatever reason, they're lacking that confidence.
Why do you think that is? What would you, from your observations, what would you...
I come from poverty pretty much. We lived in a shitty trailer park and didn't own anything. Got free lunches at school, all that sort of thing. But my dad always told me, to his credit, my dad said, son, you can do anything. Son, you can do anything. And I was really good at math early on. And, but I'm talking about times tables and, plus and minus and just, just as a little kid. But that built my confidence too. And, you get good at something and you can build upon that. Or if your kids are good at something, you don't want to break their spirit. You got to always, you got to be careful. You got to build them up. You don't want to break them. And I say it all the time. People have different tolerances. You could say something to me and I'll attack you. Say something to somebody else and they might cry or they might drop their head and they might walk away. You know what I mean? I'm just saying that people respond differently. And depending on how you respond will be the difference of whether you get respect or not sometimes too. And but you know what? I would just say that I had a little bit of a tough childhood. When you don't have money, when you don't have good food, when you don't have good clothes, you get tormented at school. It makes you tough. You get in some fights. You get tougher, and you bite back. And so, I don't know. I know my story, but I don't know. I can't say what it is for everybody else. But I certainly think it helps to have somebody either that believes in you. And like a lot of these, a lot of these athletes, particularly, their mothers, they had raised by a single mother, believed in them. The mother believed in them, and that was their strength. And so a lot of times, just having somebody that believes in you, and is huge. My dad believed in me, so I think that was probably a big credit for me. Yeah. I had a grandfather that, he would tell you, everything's a bad idea, no matter what it was. That will fail. That will fail. No. What about this? Nope. No. I already know what you're going to say. Forget it. It's going to fail. Okay. So I didn't hang out with him much, but let's keep watching.
One night I come home. I've been starting my company for a few months already, probably 11 months. I come home, we're pregnant, my wife's pregnant, we're expecting our first. It's exciting times. And I come home, my wife's in bed, tears, crying, miscarriage. If you're Valuetainment, you've heard me tell this story before. She had a miscarriage. My checking account's down to $13,000. That's not a lot of money when you're running a company. I have nothing else outside of my $13,000. I go outside, I'm walking around, I'm about to lose everything. 2 competitors came to my office that week and they told me, how's it gonna feel knowing when you lose everything and all of these people followed you, they failed because of you? How's it gonna feel? That was my nightmare, by the way. Think about that. How's it going to feel knowing when everything goes down and you file BK and you lose everything and all these people are scattered all over the place? You ruined their dreams because of the decision you made. How's that going to feel, huh? How are you going to feel? And they're trying to shake me. One guy came into my office. I'll never forget this guy. Came into my office and he told this to my face. And I said, who do you think you are? I just got into it with them. I said, you want to come here and tell this to my face on my turf, on my property? Yeah. It's not an easy meeting that I had with him. I asked the guy to leave and walked him out to the car, told him off. You know what's funny? 9 years later, he called me and said, can I work for your insurance company? 9 years later, he brought his license to me. Same guy that said, I'm going to go out of business, 9 years later, he came to me. It's what happens when you say, I am not moving or shaking. You're going to have to kill me to put me out of business. There's a certain mindset to that, right? You're going to have to kill me to put me out of business. I don't know where this comes from, that walk that night. I walked around, I'm praying, saying, I don't know, am I doing something wrong? What am I doing? What am I doing that's offending you? If I'm doing something wrong, then do whatever you got to do to put me out of business. But I'm going to fight it to the very end. And the next week I get a check from AIG for $100,000 and everything turns and we go from there. This doesn't mean tough times ain't going to show up again.
So this isn't nearly as good a story as his, but you got to be tough. I remember when I started my cabinet shop, I mean, it was very difficult. Long hair, no connections, no family connections whatsoever. Not connected at all. And I was down to like zero, seriously zero, because I remember going very specifically, I had a roll of stamps, they're like, I don't know, they might have been 15 cents then, I don't even remember. A roll of stamps, and I went down to the printer and I had a flyer made that said, Tom's Custom Cabinets, suit to fit your needs and style, and I had a couple, had a little cabinet logo and some things. Folded it in 3 pieces, stapled it, and I was asking her, can we mail it out like this? It was cheap, no envelope. And she said, yeah, that'll work. And so wrote the addresses, I don't know, maybe 40 addresses, put my stamps on there. I remember I had to pay her, it seemed like it was $20 or $30. And I said, hey, hold this check till Monday. It's like floating my check, but that's how tight it was. I didn't want a check for $30 to go through the bank because I was worried it would bounce. And what was really cool is and things were tough, believe me, you're self-employed, I mean, it's just very, very difficult. When I'm talking about at the dirt level, was where I started. And I folded up my things, I put them in the mail that night, like at 4 or 5 o'clock at night. Mail still hadn't been picked up that night. I don't even remember knowing that specifically, but I know I was trying to get them in the mail right away. Got them in the mail, and I couldn't believe it. I woke up the next morning and didn't even think about it, but at 10 o'clock in the morning, I get a phone call, and this guy says, hey, I got a cabinet job for you to come look at. And I go, really? I go, well, how did you hear about me? Nobody knows who I am. Because I got your flyer. I go, what? And I couldn't even imagine that the mail had been delivered from the time I put it in at, say, 5 o'clock that night. It was already in this guy's mailbox the next morning. The post office, works through the night. And he had my letter. And he called me, and he wrote me a check for $600 deposit. And I was like, yes, I can cover the $30 for the flyer, and I can go buy some lumber, and I can eat something. It was wonderful. But again, it's the same lesson. It's relative. It doesn't matter where you're at financially. You could be even, lower than my situation or even in a greater position of power than Patrick was. We were talking about his $13,000. It's all relative, and when stress is stress. You need money. You got to get by. You're going to go. You don't pay your bills. You're going to get kicked out. You're going to lose your space.
This doesn't mean you're not going to win some of these battles, but it's not going to happen because of me giving up. It's going to happen because I fully went out of business for whatever reasons. I'm going to do my fight till the very end. I ain't going to quit. I'm going to do my fight. That's the mindset. Pain alone, there's nobody I could talk to at that time. I can't talk to my dad because if I talk to my dad says, you chose to start a business. I can't talk to my wife because it's going to give her more fear and another miscarriage. I can't talk to my sister. I can't talk to my peers. I can't talk to nobody. I can't talk to anybody in the company about the anxiety and the pressures that I have at that time. Sometimes you got to do that as well when you're going through the business yourself.
And you got to fight and you got to work for every bit of it. Some people say, I'm just going to put it in God's hands, and they're going to go to sleep and not think about it. You're going to fail. I mean, I'm just saying nothing against God here, but you have got to pick up the slack and you have to do the work. You can't just simply say, okay. That's kind of what I say. Some people's way of just saying give up. I'm just going to, it's like they don't have to take responsibility for it. I'm just going to put it in God's hands and see what happens. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, that's an excuse.
So now,
I mean, barring, maybe if you got cancer or something like that. Then it kind of is in God's hands to a large degree. Still got to go take care of it. Yeah.
It says faith without works is dead. So like you were saying,
faith without what
works.
Faith without works.
So you
absolutely.
Still have to put in the work because faith alone won't get the job done.
Yeah.
You know, so that's to your point, exactly what you're saying is you gotta put that work in.
Yeah,
Gotta do
yeah.
it.
Hey, the harder you work, the luckier you get. That's just how it is.
Those are some of the ones that I talked about. Let me add another one here that I think it's important to bring up in this session. It's overreaction. How do you measure toughness, mental toughness? Too often we overreact, okay? Something happens, you have a falling out with a coworker or an employee or a client or this. It's overreaction. It's flight right off the bat, right? It's immediate flight, right? And in those moments, you have to ask yourself your track record. As I'm going through all this stuff, I have a bunch of different notes. I'm probably not going to go through all this stuff together with you, but I have a bunch of different notes. There's going to be some of these things where you're going to sit there and say, that one relates to me, right? This one relates to me. Another element is being selfish. Sometimes you just want to quit because it's too much pressure for you. I have some talented guys I've worked with over the years, and every time they quit or they stepped aside for 6 months or 3 months, they made a selfish decision, and they would go about how it is good to be selfish at times. But they hurt a lot of people every time they did that. Why is that? Because the decision was they didn't want embarrassment. So the immediate thing was what? Flight. I understand that. Believe me. I know what it is to want to flight and not want to take all the responsibility because it's because of you that the team is losing. You see this a lot in sports.
Well, and also it has to be taken in the context of what did you promise your people? You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
I
Can you
mean, if you-
elaborate on that?
Well, yeah. I mean, if I was earlier when he was talking about it, what are you going to do? You let down all these people that you know what I mean? In other words, you may have promised more than you could have delivered, right? Now, maybe ultimately he did deliver it, but you got to be careful. I always try to under-promise and over-deliver. Yeah. That's just how I am. And it's like when you see these fighters that get out and they talk a bunch of smack and they act like a jerk and they tell you, I'm going to knock them out in the first round. And then they get their ass kicked. It's beautiful. You love seeing that, and there's a saying in Japan, I couldn't of course speak it in Japanese, but basically it's the nail that sticks up gets hammered down.
Wow. And
that's a chance you take when you step out and step up, speak your mind, try to do things. A lot of people aren't on your side. A lot of people aren't. I mean, I see people I'm always on everybody's side, and I always take inspiration from people that have done better than me. Some people, they just want to see that person fail because it makes them feel better because they don't have to step up.
Wow.
Or they feel like they don't have to step up. I mean, I believe that's it. It's not my mindset, so I don't know exactly how. But
it sucks. Pressure sucks. Being tested sucks. There's nothing about it when you're in it that's exciting.
I actually love pressure.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I do well under pressure.
Have you always been like that, or is that something you've developed over time?
No, but you know what? I mean, I just have to be honest with myself. If you put yourself in positions of pressure, and I'm sure Patrick has too, you put yourself in these positions. You can't really say it sucks, and it can suck at times. But it's kind of like when a presidential candidate says, well, I inherited this mess. No, you ran a fucking campaign so you could take over this mess. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
You got to be, yeah. So, but anyways, well, let him keep talking.
Nothing about it that's exciting when you're in it. But there's a lot of great things about it when you come out of it. There's a lot of exciting things about it when you leave it. And all of a sudden you're looking at victories taking place. I can't describe that part to you. So now when you're watching this, say, Pat, so how do I build these things for myself? How do I build these things for myself? We're having a conversation the other day, and I'm doing a conference call last Tuesday, a Zoom, and I said, there is one thing I'm not good with, okay? And they said, what is it? I said, if there's ever one thing you should never do with me, is one thing. They said, what? And I asked one of my executives, C-suite executives, I said, Merle, can you tell everybody what that one thing is? And she doesn't even know, I haven't talked to her about it. She says, never tell Pat your goals. And everybody's like, why? Because if you tell me your goals and what you want to do, I take it as you're serious about your goals, not me. Let me say that one more time. You tell me, Pat, I want to do X, Y, Z. Then I say, you're serious about it? Absolutely. Positive? Yes. Then I'm going to hold you to that. Why'd you tell me? You shouldn't have told me if you weren't serious about it. But you told me I'm going to hold you to it. Now I'm holding you to it. What are you upset about? You told me these were your goals. Why are you not going after it? You said these were your goals. Well, this is that. Why'd you tell me these are your goals? I take your word because I believe your word matters because I was raised by a father that said, keep your word. That's how I was raised. So when you tell me your goals, I'm assuming you're determined to make those a reality. So now you're watching and saying, what an annoying quality of a person to work with. I understand. Believe me, I'm not disputing that. I get it. Yes, sure. It's probably...
Darius,
Uh-oh.
What are your goals? Would you like to be self-employed someday? Have your own business
I
and
would.
be totally independent?
I would.
Okay, you're fired. Okay. This is not compatible. This is not compatible.
However, Tom, the second part of my goal
Oh, yes. Forgot.
is to build the foundation, stabilize, and then, from there, begin to
I
learn
haven't
the
heard
skills.
I haven't heard flip anything anywhere in there yet.
And then that goal, build, flip anything. That's what,
Oh, okay. All right. All right. You're all right. Okay. All right. All right.
that was funny. What are your goals, Tom? That we can all hold you accountable to.
Yeah. Well, I told you, I want my legacy to be help as many people make money in real estate as I can, because I find it extremely rewarding.
Yeah.
And I wrote my book. If you haven't seen my book, there's my book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. It's been a bestseller on Amazon, Kindle, and Audible. And it's rewarding enough that people are. You feel good. When I first wrote the book, and that's a long time ago, but I didn't publish it for many, many, many years later. But it's rewarding to see people actually use it. It's rewarding to see that it can be taught.
Yeah.
Huge deal.
Yeah.
The fact that it can be taught. Hey, by the way, if you're watching first time, or please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you like what you hear, hit that subscribe button, and again, hit that like button. But I was thinking about what he said earlier. You put yourself in a position to achieve things. And so, and he says he hates the pressure. I don't even believe he hates the pressure.
No, there's a part of him that
Yeah, it doesn't
has
make
to thrive
sense.
off of it.
And I'm not saying he's lying, but he may be fooling himself a little bit. You put yourself in positions of pressure. You keep raising your goals, and you keep raising your standards. It's like I said, you run for president. You didn't inherit these problems. You volunteered for them. You put yourself in a position to achieve certain things, and you take certain risks, if you want to call them risks, or calculated risks, to achieve certain things, and then it's the reward. You're going for the rewards. You're striving to have more, and you're willing to take these chances to achieve, and it's part of the pressure. But I can't say, everything I do, I bring upon myself. I make deals. I work and work and work to find these opportunities, and then when I find them, I take advantage of them. But it's a lot of work for nothing for a long time, and that's where the mental fortitude and pushing through and persistence is so important. And if you don't, you're not going to get there. But I just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, get there, make it happen. Then it's like, I got to do it again.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things as an investor. You work your ass off, and then you finally get the deal that you're looking for, and you use all your money to buy it, and then you're kind of going, ugh. It's like a big letdown. It's like you just, it's like, okay, now, yeah, I got it, but that's done. That's history. I got it. Yeah, great, I got it. But now I don't have any money, and I need something else. It's greed, perhaps. I don't know. But it's that desire to, but it's really self-testing, trying to make more money, trying to achieve, you keep setting the goals higher, and you keep putting yourself under pressure. And listen, it's a pretty common thing with anybody that's a high achiever, is you constantly strive, for more. And, a lot of people do it their whole lives, but I don't think most people on their deathbed, they're going to go, I just wish I would have worked more.
Yeah, I
don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, like you said, most people don't say that on their deathbed, but it's funny because you do have to still kind of try throughout your life. So it's like, I don't know if you get to your deathbed and be like, man, I spent a little bit too much time with my family. Like, yeah. You got to have a good balance there. But yeah, it's like that, the Cats in the Cradle song. You know that song? Mm-mm.
Oh man, it's basically it's a guy singing about his dad never having time for him. And then when his dad gets old and has time for him, he ain't got time for dad.
Oh, wow.
So, anyways, great song. But it's one that I've listened to since I was young. And it's one that's always made me think, oh God, I don't want my kids ever to think. And as a result, I've probably been too much of a hover parent. And you know what I mean? I mean, like, hey, come on, let's do something. You know, and I was talking to my wife, and I says, you know, you think I'm not giving the kids? He goes, are you kidding? He goes, yeah, no, the kids, they're not suffering from a lack of attention from you. But you know, being a parent is a tough thing. All my kids are grown now too. All adults now, all adults. You know, one of the things that gets in the way is fear. People are afraid. And like you said, but you got to just kind of do a risk-reward assessment. Listen, if you're pushing, like you said, whatever the position is, you're going, oh man, I'm about to fail, or just this isn't going anywhere. I want to give up. I'm weak, and I'm trying. You know what? There's nothing to lose by keep going. I mean, you've already basically in your mind considered yourself beat. Just keep pushing. It can't get much worse, right? Yeah. You've already failed. If that part of your brain is telling you failed, just keep pushing. Just keep moving forward, because that is the difference is between people that make it and don't make it. Most of the people that don't make it, they either don't try or they don't work hard enough.
That's interesting.
And they get discouraged easy. And you know, and you got to, you get on your goal. You can't be so fragile. You know, and I'm somebody that plays devil advocate. I like people to just rip my ideas to shred. Try to beat me up. Look at this great property I got. Look at this great deal. I can do this, this, and this. And it's people I respect that have knowledge. I say, you know, I'll say, what do you think? What do you think? And you know, if they say, you know, I wouldn't do it. They got to be more specific. You got to beat it up with specifics. And then at the end, I'm like, well, I'm still going to do it because, you know, or maybe they make me think about it, and maybe I'd have a little bit different approach to it. But good video, Patrick.
One thing I was going to ask you, I had a couple questions for you. Do you ever subscribe to that? I know you said you like people to beat up your ideas, but sometimes people are so driven by trying to prove people wrong. Have you ever subscribed to that, or have you always been so confident in what you were doing that it really didn't matter in proving people wrong? You just knew what your goals were.
Yeah, do I have a chip on my shoulder like I'm going to prove you wrong? Not usually. No, I'm just like, I want to make some more money, you know, and usually money's been the number one driving thing, you know. Of course, in jiu-jitsu, you know, I've been in jiu-jitsu a long time, and really even then, it's not about getting another belt or another stripe on my belt. I enjoy the experience. I mean, I love it. I absolutely love it. And, you know, I wrestle with a guy, one of the main guys I wrestle with most often probably. All are very talented. But one guy, he's 6'5", 255 pounds. Yeah. He's like this guy's size, like even buffer. Yeah. And oh my God, he's a beast, you know. And everything it's just tougher. You know what I mean? You grab somebody's wrist, and it's like grabbing my ankle. I'm like, you know. I mean, yeah. But it makes you tougher, you know what I mean? You know, I don't want to wrestle the smallest guy in the gym every time. And sometimes sometimes some of the small guys are pretty tough too. Yeah. That's the beauty of jiu-jitsu. You know, there's just talent, and then there's talent and size, and there's variations of both that can make you more formidable or less. But yeah. Anyways, what was the other question you asked?
Well, that was the first question. My second question is, I was going to ask you this earlier, but when you first started your career, you know, we know you were you worked in a cabinet shop. When you left employment there, what made you decide to go in business for yourself versus just looking for another job?
I would say I knew as soon as I was probably doing cabinets for, I don't know, I'm guessing maybe 6 months. I knew. I mean, I was already thinking about I can make some money on the side doing this for myself, right? I mean, I wanted to be self-employed from day one. And a year and a half after I got my job in the cabinet shop, I had already bought every tool you can imagine. In my closet, you know, I was living in a duplex at the time, you know, one side of it, and I had every tool that you would need in a cabinet shop. Table saw, you know, belt sanders, you know, just, you know, everything you would need to build cabinets, nail guns, everything in my closet, still in the box. Oh, wow. Brand new. I just bought all this stuff because I thought, you know, I'll you know, start my own business, or I'll do this on the side when I'm not working. Well, my boss went under. He went out of business. So as he went out of business, I'm like, okay, and I got on unemployment. and I think I was getting like $160 a week or something like that a long time ago. And I immediately went in, unboxed everything, set up a little shop in the little one car garage that I had in the back of the duplex, and started making those flyers like I told you about. And I started soliciting work on the street and started building cabinets for people. And then I had to graduate into renting a building, a small space. And then ultimately that's how I landed into my first real estate deal. I got kicked out of a building. I was living in a building and had my cabinet shop in the building. And they found out I was living it. He said, "Man, you can't live here." He goes, "This place is going to catch on fire, and you're going to die, and I'm going to get sued." So he wanted me out. That made me go look for a property, which is how I found my very first property. With the intention of renting, turned into a purchase. It was an owner finance deal, and this is no money. I had no money for this real estate stuff, but I was able to negotiate a deal that allowed me to come up with $10,000. I got 6 months free, basically free rent, but it was a 6-month escrow. So during that escrow period before I was going to buy it, I had access to the building. I moved into the building, and I saved what I was normally be paying in rent. I put away, and that was my down payment. And then, from there on, I just, like a big snowball, kept growing. And real estate's my first love now. But anyway, you'd said something earlier. But yeah, I think the main thing is you got to want it. I mean, you got to want it. You got to want it. And, and I try to just tell people to examine themselves for where you're going to get if you don't take action to get, to make more money, whatever it is. Because if you just sit there, you can calculate what you're going to make in your job. And it's depressing. I don't care if you make a lot of really good money. I don't want to be limited by a calculation of what somebody else is going to pay me. I kind of like the unknown. I like to know that I can hit some home runs, get innovative, and maybe do some cool things that'll, create something even bigger and better. And I've done a lot of different things in my lifetime, but real estate has never been anything more consistent and profitable as real estate. It's just, I write checks for college, I write checks for cars, I can write checks for houses, it's no big deal now. But it all started with that initial, goal of just trying to do better and keep raising the standards and keep putting myself in those tough situations of demanding more from myself. A lot of people, you don't know what's possible. And so when you see somebody that's done it, that's, I call it role modeling. I didn't invent the term, but you kind of look at and you role model after other people. They have what you want to have. You try to follow their footsteps, or their mindset, and utilize them that way. And so that's always a good thing. But so, hey, I guess we'll call it quits here. And but thanks for watching. And look, we got a lot of other great stuff coming. If you're interested in real estate, please get the book. Take the time, go to FlipAnythingUSA.com and take a look at the mentorship. I'll run you over there real quick here. I'll show you. You go into Flip Anything USA, and you're going to see right off the bat, when you go into the front page, you'll see a series of videos here. These are testimonials. Some of these guys have made over $2 million, others over $1 million, some less than $1 million, but they've all made money. I've only been mentoring people for like under 2 years now, and but the results are fantastic. You can go over here, you'll see all kinds of properties I referenced that I've, millions of dollars. I spent probably $10 million in the last 6 months on real estate. And, I'm a very active investor, so I don't always have the slickest production here, but it's because I truly am busy in the field. You know what I mean? I don't just sit here and talk. But anyways, so thanks for watching, and I'm going to leave you here with a quick look at the guys in the mentorship, and we'll see you guys next week. Hi, I'm Tom McKay. I've been investing in real estate, commercial properties, industrial properties, houses, apartments, offices, subdivisions. I also have a mentorship course to help people create their own fortunes the same way. My first class, I had immediate results. Ron made over $200,000 and has purchased 22 properties. Eric has purchased a trailer park and 34 acres of land. Liam has already flipped a few properties and made over $100,000 on his first deal.